All right. Well, we're going to get started today with a fun little project. So, for those of you who don't know, I went to school down in New Orleans. I didn't go to school for food, but I certainly ate a lot of food while I was down there, and it helped to sort of mold a lot of my preferences, spicy foods particularly. And so, this is one of my favorite dishes, jambalaya. I used to get it every single Mardi Gras Monday from this place right on the parade route. It's just absolutely fabulous. It's kind of like everything in the fridge meal. Obviously, there's lots of recipes that call for specific ingredients, but like at the end of the day, it's really kind of what you got on hand. And so what we got on hand today is a whole bunch of pizza ingredients. And so we're going to make some pizza jambalaya because tomatoes are in season, and there's even some jambalayas that don't have tomato in them at all. It's a Creole edition. The Cajun jambalaya doesn't have tomato because most Cajuns live in the bayou, and so you don't have tomatoes growing there. Whereas a lot of the Creoles brought that tomato flavors with them. So Creole tends to have a lot more spicy. Might even put some crab in there, but lots of shrimp, lots of crab. Both of them tend to have andouille sausage. We're replacing that with pepperoni today, and then they always have chicken, which is really nice because chicken goes on pizza too. So we've got a couple of cool little pizza toppings, and we're going to hopefully make a really nice marinara. So that's a little bonus recipe for you that's going to help to really bring that flavor home. So as always, first thing we do is always get our mise en place together. So you can see I got my pots and pans over there. I got all my veggies I need. Got my rice, my tomatoes, my basil, my chicken, my stick blender, all the tools you're going to need, all the pots you're going to need. Try and get everything together. Mise en place means everything in its place, and you are just going to love it later because it's going to make your life super easy. So what we're going to start with here is we're going to go ahead and get our rice cooking. I'm using a rice cooker for this because I really like the way that it cooks the rice. Jambalaya tends to be kind of a pasty dish. The rice gets cooked in the sauce usually, and that can tend to get it to be overcooked because then it ends up usually sitting in the pot for firsts and seconds for dinner, and the rice absorbs too much. So what I'm hoping to do here is cook the rice separately, and then right before we serve, we're going to fold the rice into the sauce, the flavorful sauce, and that's going to make what's going to look just like a jambalaya, but it's going to be a lot more granular and has sort of a different, more hearty texture. So I'm kind of excited about that. So we're going to start with rice right now. I'm going to make 4 cups of rice. That's probably way too much rice for how much sauce we're actually going to be making, but I just figure why not make more? You can always use it for something else. They only had this giant bag of rice at the store today, so this is the rice that I have. My rice cooker has a little cup, and I think this is an actual cup, but usually you just go by this cup. So my rice cooker on the inside has a little measurement, and why is it so bright? You put 4 of these plastic cups in there, and then you fill it to the 4 line, and you get perfectly cooked rice. It's really nice. There's a whole bunch of different methods for doing rice. There's a finger method where you put your finger in there, and if the water comes up over your finger to the first knuckle, I got big fingers though, so I'm not trying to mess it up. Rice cookers are pretty forgiving, which is nice. They tend to have not only temperature functions and timers, but they also have moisture sensors. So they sometimes will know when the rice is done, but I always like to just go by the cups. It just makes life easier. So I got 4 cups of rice in here, dry rice that is. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up to the number 4 line. Normally, when you're cooking rice, if you want individual grain texture, you're gonna wanna rinse that rice and try and get some of the extra starch off of it so it doesn't make almost like a porridge. But in this case, we do want that starch to help us sort of thicken our jambalaya. So we're gonna go ahead, just need a little bit more water in here. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna skip that step. We're gonna keep all that extra starch in there. We are going to let our rice be starchy. That is a-okay with us. Beautiful. Rice cookers are really fun. I literally just put the white rice in there, put the water in there, hit my white rice button, and I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. It just happens. Did I do it right? Okay, it's going now. Sweet. So that's cooking, which means we can just move on to the next thing, which is going to be our marinara here. And so the marinara is a pretty basic recipe. I like to use this one a lot. I usually do it with canned tomatoes, but today we're going to use it fresh because they are fresh. So my marinara has carrot in it. This is a fairly classic thing. I actually thought it was kind of special, but carrots are a pretty classic way to take some of the acidic bite off of your tomato and really just give it a nice little sweetness. So I'm just cutting these carrots into fairly small pieces. The real thing here is we just want this to cook fairly quick. So the smaller you cut the pieces, the quicker it's going to cook. And if we cook it nice and quick, we're going to, you know, be able to blend it, because we're going to eventually blend this. We don't really care too much about what the different vegetables look like that are going in there. We really more care about getting them cooked nice and fast so that we can take a stick blender to them, make it all homogenized, and make it all absolutely tasty and beautiful. So we're going to do the same thing with this onion. We're going to cut it pretty small. This one, oh, beautiful. And I got a nice little compost bowl over here. I always love compost if you can. So the onion, I like to kind of do like an angular thing where I sort of come at it from all sides. Boop, 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 boop. That helps you get smaller pieces as well and more uniform cuts. But again, this is not super important because this is all going to be absolutely pasted. So we're doing a whole onion. I think I'm going to put the rest of the carrot in there just because I really like carrot in my tomato sauce. When I grew up, my dad always would put sugar in his tomato sauce. I think his mom used to do it when they were younger. And so it kind of just reminds me of the good times. And so I like very sweet marinara in general. Again, nice small pieces of carrot. And we're not really looking for a lot of flavor on this. We're not going to brown the garlic. We're not going to brown the onion. We're kind of just going to put it in there and let it sweat and let it get soft. And then we're going to put the tomatoes in and let that all cook. You can brown the garlic, but for marinara, you really want it to be very mild. You want it to taste like, whoop, that's the wrong one. You want it to taste like the vegetables that are in there. In this case, it's mostly tomato. So, oh my gosh, I'm over here chopping away. You guys are looking at my chest. Sorry about that. So I chopped the veggies, as you can see, they look really nice. I was going to say, what I did with the garlic is I just smushed it in my favorite way. And so what you do with the garlic is you put the root end up towards you, and then you push down on the little stem that goes through the middle real hard. And it kind of just, the whole garlic just sort of falls apart. And you get all the individual cloves, and then you can, you can smash the cloves on your knife to get them to be peeled. That's a really nice technique. We're going to go ahead and do that right now. We are going to use all this garlic today. We're going to put the rest of it in the actual jambalaya. So I'm just going to smash it all now while we have it in front of us. And then I'll peel it as I need it. But I'm just smashing that with the flat side of my knife. What that does is that opens it up so it's easier to peel, and also makes the garlic release a chemical that they would normally release in like the wild if these bulbs got broken by a predator, or not a predator, by an herbivore that might be trying to eat it. Not many things eat garlic in the first place. It's kind of, most alliums are fairly safe from animals. They don't really like that flavor. We're very unique as humans in that we like it because it tastes amazing. But we also are pretty good at cooking. So maybe that's why it definitely gets a lot more mild as you add heat. Anyways, so we're going to crush all that. It releases a chemical. It actually makes it a lot more bioavailable. You get a lot more out of your garlic if you crush it first. So I always like to crush it. One of my chefs told me that. I actually never fact checked it. So don't come yelling to me if I'm wrong. Just something that you learn in the kitchen and you just kind of stick it with you. So we're going to use about 4 cloves of garlic here. Just enough really to get some nice flavor in that broth. The other garlic that we use for the actual jambalaya, we are going to have much bigger chunks so we can actually sort of see it. So this is going to be, we'll do 5 just because that's what's here. Perfect. We'll put the rest aside for later. Once this sauce is bubbling away, we'll have a lot more time to do our veggie prep. And that's one thing, if you guys have watched me before, I really like to try and always keep my hands busy doing something. If I can avoid downtime while I'm cooking, just makes dinner come faster, and it seems to be a lot more fun. It kind of gives me vibes of when I was back in the kitchen. All right, great. My white rice is coming to temp. That's amazing. So we got garlic, we got onions, we got carrots. I'm going to put one of these cherry bomb peppers in there. I found these today, and I just wanted a little bit of extra spice. You can skip this step, of course, but I like things a little spicy. So I got one to put in the marinara, and then I got a couple more to put in whole with our green pepper that we're going to put in our actual jambalaya. That way there's some nice little spicy bits in that as well, some seeds and such like that. So there we go. So that's basically the base of our marinara. This is nice and hot right now. We're going to go ahead, get some oil in there, and don't be bashful with your oil and your marinara. It is kind of an important part to a degree. It adds a lot of really delicious flavor. So let's get that garlic in there and the onions. Oh, there we go. Let's get that up, way up in heat. Wasn't ready yet. That's okay. We'll jump over here. I guess we got some more people here. Hello, everybody. All right, make sure we got a good thing right here. Nice. Yeah, okay, cool. So we got our garlic in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and toss everything in there. I think my I have this heat not high enough, but it's going to go ahead now. And this is going to be a pretty chunky marinara. This is definitely like a good amount of vegetables going in there. And the tomatoes are going to be honestly like not that much on top of that. It's probably about equal parts solid veggies to just tomato. And the tomato isn't all liquid itself, you know? So we're going to have, it's going to be thick, and that's okay. I like a thick marinara. I usually use this marinara for pizza. So like having it be thick is usually not a problem at all. So I just took the stems out. We're going to blend this. So I'm really not that concerned about the actual stem remnants here. That's going to get blended up pretty well. It's no harder than a tomato or than a carrot or an onion. So like I'm just going to cut right through the center there. And I'm going to cut it into you know, quarters. So it's at least a little bit cut up. But once we blend it, it's going to just turn into nothing. And one of the cool parts, any connective tissue you have on vegetables tends to be pretty jam-packed full of vitamins. So usually if you can use things like skins or stems in your food, it's actually going to increase the amount of nutrients you're getting there. So I'm just cutting these into small pieces. Again, this is all going to get blended up. So I really just want it to be small enough that it's going to cook really nice. These tomatoes look absolutely amazing. I'm just going to eat this one, honestly. Oh my God, they're so good. I love summer tomatoes. I mean, I love like even green tomatoes in the winter, so I'm kind of a tomato freak. Just cutting these up into cubes. You can do this a lot of different ways. I probably could have showed you guys another one. Sometimes I like to like slice them this way and then put them this way and sort of cube them that way. But that's if I'm going to actually eat the tomato in some sort of whole form. This is all going to get blended up, and I'm putting the skins in there too. If you wanted to make like a really, really fancy marinara, you could put these in boiling water. The skins would sort of blister a bit, and you could slip them right off. That's what a lot of times people will do with Roma tomatoes before they can them. I don't really care about it. Again, I want this chunky. I like it chunky. It's going to go in to flavor a rice dish, so I'm not really worried about chunks because rice is inherently kind of chunky on its own. So this is probably a little bit more tomato. I think maybe a pound is probably like that much. But I would normally have reserved the other tomato, but I actually got these really beautiful cherry tomatoes. And so I'm actually just going to have these and use these for the tomatoes that we're going to put in the jambalaya. I think it's going to look a lot more visually pleasing because these are going to stay together much better than, you know, like a chunk of tomato would. And so you'll actually be able to find them while you're eating it and be like, ooh, a tomato. Plus, like if I was eating pizza, I would put little halves of cherry tomato on top of my pizza. So I feel like it kind of vibes. All right, beautiful. And don't hesitate, guys. Feel free to, oh my gosh. Well, this is just how it goes sometimes. I bought chicken stock and I didn't put it in my stupid rice. I think I can save that. I guess we are rinsing this rice today. All right, so I'm just pouring out this water. I'm going to fill it back up with chicken stock. I really want that chicken flavor in this rice. It's going to add a lot to this dish. I almost forgot. This is why mise en place is really nice. You can look at your things and be like, wait a minute, why is that on my table? And then you get the answer and it fixes everything. Another really cool thing about a rice cooker, if I was just cooking normal rice on the stove right now, I'd have like this up to a boil and I'd be waiting 20 minutes for it to be done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I literally just pour the water out. I'm putting chicken broth in here. And I can just close this thing again and set it to white rice and it's just going to do it. I really like rice cookers. They just make your life so much easier, assuming you eat rice, you know, which I mean, like I know a lot of people do. So it kind of works out. Just get this nice and hot. Give a little stir. It smells really good in here. It's just peppers, carrots, onion, amazing. One thing that is going to be missing from this dish, and some of you may have noticed, is celery. The classic holy trinity for cooking is peppers, celery, and onions. We're kind of going off the map on that. We got carrots, peppers, and onions, and that's good enough. We added olives in there for good measure, but we're definitely going off the sort of standard business right now, and that's going to be okay because we're looking for a different flavor. We're not looking for a classic Cajun or Creole flavor. We are looking for a little bit more of an Italian vibe, and so that's what we're going to do. Beautiful. So while that's going, got these tomatoes. They're going to be ready to go in there. I've got some oregano here. Oregano and basil are going to be our main sort of flavors for the marinara. When we get back into the jambalaya aspect, it's going to be basically just basil that we're going to be adding in there. And so you want about a teaspoon This is fresh oregano, so I'm going to use just a little bit more, just because I really like the flavor of fresh. Dry sometimes can be a little bit intense. You know, if you use too much of it, it rehydrates, and it kind of has like it has a more earthy flavor because it's been stored. So with fresh, I feel like it acts more like a vegetable or like a dark green. The flavor, there's just more water to it, and the essential oils aren't quite as intense. And so I like to use a little bit more in there. But that's still almost about a teaspoon. And then we got some beautiful basil here. We're going to put some of that in at the end of this process. So we may as well just get that prepped right now. And this is about a tablespoon that I'm going to be putting in there. Again, this is probably too much. I know this is too much. We're just going to stack some leaves. And we'll be stacking leaves when we go to do a chiffonade later too. This is just a good way in general, if you have leafy herbs, to get them all cut at once. You can also do this with things like chard or collards. You just stack the leaves up like this, and then you're going to run your knife through the whole pile. And in doing that, you're going to cut all the leaves at once. It really makes your job a lot easier. That's about a tablespoon. And again, I really like basil, and fresh herbs in general just like make me happy. So anytime I have them in my face, I tend to use way more than I probably need. So we're just going to kind of roll these up. And if we were doing a chiffonade, we just cut this once. We're going to do a chop though, but so we're going to chiffonade it first, and then we're just going to come through and we're going to hit it the other way. And so I'll show you this again when we actually do the proper chiffonade. It's going to be a little bit less rushed, but you're basically just cutting long strips. And then so we're going to take that bunch, we're going to go this way, and that's going to allow us to get a really nice chop, really easy. Basil has a very soft body, so if you try and chop it too much, it's going to get it's just going to turn brown. And that's okay for a sauce, you know, but if you're using it as a garnish, you want to try and put as much least force as possible into it. Beautiful. This is looking really nice. Pull those. Let me just try the carrot. Carrot's almost soft. Perfect. I'm gonna put my tomatoes in there. And as per usual, guys, I'm not really using any salt. I'm on a low salt diet, so I just don't use salt lately, but feel free to put as much salt as you want in there. Just taste it, you know, in between. I'd maybe start with a tablespoon and then you work your way up. Most of these veggies don't really need it. They taste really good on their own. And so kind of just go for it. Beautiful. We got this on a nice high heat. We really want to cook those tomatoes down, get them to release all their water. That's going to make our sauce basically. So we really want that in there. At this point, I'm going to put my oregano in. I like to put the basil in right at the end, but the oregano is a little bit hardier as far as flavors are concerned. So I like to just cook it in with the veggies right now. If I put something different in the recipe, it's a-okay. They're all relevant. I just, you know, spur of the moment, I always like to kind of just do things, whatever sort of feels right. And right now, that oregano feels like it wants to go in. So it's happening. Rice is starting to get warm. Awesome. Once that gets in, we'll probably be like close to like 20 minutes out from the rice, which is going to be good. I promised you all that I would one day actually finish the program by 9 o'clock or by 6 o'clock. And I think tonight might be the night. As long as this rice cooker behaves, we're about to be in for the first Chef Look Cooks that ends on time. All right, cool. So that's going. We can go ahead. Some dancing over here. And that's just going to keep breaking down. We're gonna cook that pretty much the whole time here. We're just going to really get it going. We're going to blend it towards the end. Find if I blend it too early, it starts to do like the blub bubble, and it just goes everywhere. So I always try and avoid that. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and get our garlic ready, because we are going to want to brown this garlic for the actual jambalaya. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that now, get that chopped up, get that ready to go. So we can start sort of cooking our sauce base, basically what we're gonna put our rice into, what is going to be the actual dish. You know, normally you work on this, and then you'd add the broth and the chicken or the rice in, put a lid on it, let it cook for, you know, almost 20 minutes. That rice is almost done. Then you throw the shrimp in there, let the shrimp steam just at the end. We're not doing shrimp for this recipe because, I mean, you can put shrimp on a pizza, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to go for more classic sort of pizza flavors, which is why I picked some of my favorite pizza toppings, pepperoncinis and olives, black olives. I used to not like olives when I was younger. And then my grandfather took me out to one of the very nice, fancy Up Island pizza places that will remain nameless for now, but I'm sure some of you might know what I'm talking about. And they just had a really basic black olive pizza for their special that day. And my grandpa was like, you should try it. And being the child that I was, great respect for my grandpa, I said, yeah, of course, let's get it. And something changed that day, something large. And I started liking black olives. And not too long after that, we sort of got into other olives. It was the last holdout of food that I don't like. To this day, I like pretty much everything except for chard. And not that I don't like chard. I like chard cooked certain ways, but very earthy, deep flavor. And sometimes it just does not agree with me. I don't know if any of you guys agree or not. Chard can be a little crazy, a little intense, if you will. It's like spinach, but spinach was like angry at you and like was yelling. This pot's dancing. I love it. All right, peeling garlic. If you have young hands in the kitchen, this is a great thing to get them to do. They will smell amazing afterwards. It just can be a lot of fun for kids to have any part at all in cooking. When I was younger, I used to. I'm just going to chop this fairly small, not super small. Again, small. We do want some pieces that you're going to be able to see. But when I was younger, I used to just like pour the pancake batter. I would stir the batter and then I would pour it into the pan, and I wouldn't flip them or anything like that. I wouldn't even wash them. But just that little process, I think, is one of the main reasons why I just love cooking so much today. Yes, that's starting to smell like pasta sauce. Usually I do this with canned tomatoes, and so we cook a little bit less, but we're going to cook it a decent amount now because those canned tomatoes had already been water bathed for 20 minutes, so they got cooked for 20 minutes, and then I was going to cook them again with the veggies. In this case, we want to really just give them a good cook down. It's going to change the flavor dynamics. Some of those sugars are they're not caramelized so much as cook down and really get a nice sort of flavor. Cool. So our garlic's good. We're going to go for our other sort of starters here. We got our pepperoni and our chicken. We're going to essentially make a fond in the bottom of this pan. And that's going to be a really, really nice flavor element. When we do eventually put liquid in there, all those liquids are going to dissolve back into the soup and add a really, really nice flavor for us there. So beautiful. So I managed to find these really cool little link pepperonis. They had some bigger links too, but they were only 6 ounces. This whole thing was 10 ounces or was 8 ounces. So like pretty close. I think 10 ounces honestly might have been too much anyways, but it depends how much you like pepperoni realistically. So I'm going to have these. Yep. Come on. Ooh, that's a tough pepperoni. I like it. I'm going to have these, and then I'm going to cut them into little half moons, and those are going to be studded all throughout this jambalaya. It's going to be really nice when you get that big bite of it. Normally, the sausage is just rounds for jambalaya, but I think pepperoni is a little bit more intense of a flavor than chorizo or what's the other name for chorizo that they like to use? Not chorizo. Anyways, it'll come to me later. There's another sausage that is sort of the classic one. I always use chorizo, but linguiça? No, I don't know what I'm thinking. Anyways, so this is a little bit more intense. So we're gonna cut them a little bit smaller pieces just so that we get a nice distribution as well. And this skin on this is actually really tough, which is kind of nice. It's going to be a really nice snap when we actually sort of bite into it. So I'm just cutting these up. We're going to sort of render these down a little bit, start to get some nice flavor for our sauce, and also just in general get them a little crispy. They'll have some nice little texture, which will be really cool. So we're going to go ahead and get this heat up right now, get that going. Beautiful. I'm going to take another cutting board out because I am going to come back in here for my tomatoes. So I'm going to use another cutting board for my chicken so I don't have to worry about cross-contamination. Raw chicken isn't the most dangerous thing in the world. And nowadays, we definitely have a little bit better sort of handle on it than we used to. But it's still pretty dangerous. So not worthwhile to get yourself in trouble. So this looks great. It's super liquidy and juicy. I think it's going to be perfect. Let's give you a quick little sort of look at that. Hopefully you can see the texture. It's nice and juicy. You can see that oregano in there. The tomatoes are starting to break up. I'm not going to be much left of them soon, except for the juice and the skin. So that's good. We'll let that keep rocking. Turn it down a little bit. And again, I like to cook it as long as possible in this state before blending it, because once you blend it, it just becomes a blooping mess. It is super crazy. not ideal. So yeah, so that's the marinara. We're gonna blend it, and you're gonna see how delicious it looks. Put a little basil in there as well. It's one of my absolute favorite recipes. Stole it from an old friend. So again, olive oil. You know, and you could just use canola oil. Like realistically, olive oil isn't really a classic of this type of cuisine. But we are doing sort of a more Italian vibe. So an olive oil is going to be right up our alley. You just want a little bit so that your meat doesn't stick too bad. You could put it in there on really low heat, especially if you have like a non-stick bottom, and just let it sort of render. And the fat from the pepperoni would definitely do the job. But I only have one temperature, and that's high. So I put some oil in there just to help me avoid too much sticking. Get that nice and coated, and then beautiful. Gonna get it sizzling hot. Turn off my heat, and that's going to help it to really render down. It looks good already. Got myself a little plate over here to put my meat onto when it's done. Smells good. I like this pepperoni. Good. Got a quick little bit of our tomato here. See how that oregano is. Tomato sauce tastes really good. A little spicy from those cherry bombs, which is what I'm talking about. And it is plenty of oregano in there. Just a little bit you can taste it in the background. Beautiful. And see, my pepperoni has already started to render out. So there's a lot of really great oil in there, which is exactly what I want. All that nice flavor coming in. Going to flavor my veggies first. And I better start cutting them up or else I'm not going to be ready when the time comes. All right, so we're going to do onion and pepper in here. And towards the end, when it's almost done, we're going to put our pickled ingredients in there as well. So we're going to have a nice little medley here of things. I got my onion. Pepper. For me, cutting pepper, I really like to do this sort of method here. You want to find a nice flat edge of it. You want to run your knife down the edge. And then before you get to the bottom, you want to kind of curve it. And you're just sort of cutting around the outside, cutting the ribs out. You end up something like that at the end. You can cut the end off there, still use that. You can cut the tops off here if you want to as well. Turn that off. You can cut the tops off here as well. Use as much of it as you want, you know. I feel like this gets the most out of the pepper. And if you have chickens, you give that to them, they go absolutely buck wild. All right, so the pepper we got from Morning Glory, which is pretty sweet. Nice, beautiful green pepper. It's the cheapest peppers they have right now too, which is nice. They just started coming in. September really is pepper month, honestly. You get them in August, but they're the best in September. All right, beautiful. Delicious little sausages are starting to render out. So I'm just going to go ahead and take them off the heat. I don't want them to get too overcooked, too crispy. I don't really want them to dry out. If they lose too much of that fat that's in there, they're going to be dry, and you're going to get a nice bite. And it's going to be like, ooh, that's flavorful, but it's going to feel weird because it's going to give you sort of a dry vibe. They rendered a good bit of fat out of them, so I actually don't think I'm going to put any more fat in here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut up my chicken and cook it right in what's in here. Yeah, it looks really good. So I got chicken thighs because I want to add more flavor into this dish, and chicken thighs are going to do that because they have more fat. You can use chicken breast though if you're watching fat or anything like that. It's going to be just a-okay. But in this case, I want some extra chicken fat to go with that pork fat that's from that pepperoni and the beautiful olive oil that I have. I want to add more flavors, layers of flavors. That's like kind of the vibe of this whole dish. Is you add things in and you keep getting more and more deeper into the flavors, making things better. You add the shrimp right at the end and they kind of absorb it all, but they also add their own little bit of sort of seafoody goodness. It's a layers dish. It's very, very layersy, and I very much like it because of that. So we're just cutting these into bite-sized pieces, fairly similar size to what the jambalaya, or rather the pepperoni was. You want pretty much everything in this to be the same size. When we go to cut these onions and the peppers here, we're going to be searching for the same size again. I'd say it's about a centimeter cube, maybe something like that. I believe it's a chop. I'm sure there's like a technical term for for that exact size when you're when you're doing proper French cooking. But we're just gonna call it a chop. It's bite-sized. Awesome. Oh my gosh, this is going to be really good, guys. I can already tell that we are on going to be on a flavor journey over here. Just the smells in this kitchen are reminding me of really, really tasty pizza nights. And yeah, I'm super excited. Let's get this heat going back up over here. Chicken's almost cut up. Beautiful, that's nice and hot. Let's go, chicken in. Another thing I like about chicken thighs is that they don't stick a lot. I'm gonna put the fan on here for a second. They have that extra fat in them, so they tend not to stick as much as the breast would. I'm just cleaning off my knife here. So I can go ahead and use it to cut veggies and not worry about it. Get my hands real quick. Got stuffing all that chicken. Beautiful. Get that chicken all spread out on the bottom of your pan and let it just go to town. You want to get it a nice brown side if you can. Check on the sauce. Oh, that sauce is looking super good. Okay, awesome, beautiful. Let's get this chicken on here. Cool, and let's start cutting up the rest of our veggies. So we got these cherry bombs. Again, I added these for a little bit extra heat. You just want to take the green part off, and then the rest you can basically just dice up. And again, we said we wanted to do that same size for everything. So we're gonna cut these kind of like we would an onion. Gonna come in here, do that sort of angled cut like I showed you guys earlier. And from that, we're gonna go after our little cubes that we like. This is gonna be a nice spicy surprise for those of you who like spicy. If you don't like spicy, or if you don't like that much of a spicy surprise, you can always dice these smaller and they're gonna act more like a flavoring agent than an actual ingredient in the dish, something that you're gonna eat. And so that's always an option as well, but I like that spicy surprise, so that's why I'm doing that. All right, let's get in here. Oh yeah, baby, hello, tasty chicken. Okay, chicken's looking good. We got that on full bore. The sauce is looking good. Everything is looking very, very good. What I like to see. All right, so then onions. Again, we're gonna do that little sort of pinwheel cut. Then we're gonna come in from this side and we're gonna cut them into sizes that we like. This one's a 3 cutter. Sometimes they're 2. So again, pinwheels. When you're doing these pinwheels, you're trying to get the skin sort of side, the radius, if you will, or what is it called? There's a geometry term for you there, radium, something like that. You're trying to get that to look the right size so that you get a nice little sort of block. And then these all sort of fall apart into those piece sizes that we were looking for eating. So that should be nice right there. It looks looking very good. Beautiful. So once you have the pepper like this, what I usually do is I stack up the pieces like that. And you're going to cut sticks. And once you have the sticks, and get them all lined up here, you can cut the sticks into your little cubes that you want. That just gives you a little bit of extra time, saves you some time. It's my go-to way for cutting peppers. I don't often cut peppers all the way anymore. I usually just grill them, so I don't really go all the way. It's kind of weird. I was just doing that, and my brain was like, "What are you doing, man? You got to put this on the grill." My chicken's looking good. I got like a little bit of color in there, but it's mainly cooked, which is really what we want. We want it to be cooked. We want it to have, be almost done basically, so we can put it back in this dish and be ready, you know, within a relatively small amount of time once our sauce is done. So I'm just going to take that out of my pot here. And I'm using a pot that you guys probably haven't seen me use because it's one of my uglier pots, but I didn't think it was going to fit in my deep cast iron, so I just went ahead and used this pot. I think it's going to make it easier when we put the rice in there to mix it all up too. So it's kind of what it is. This just looks absolutely beautiful. I'm actually going to just pour out all of this sauce. Don't need that. That's a little bit of olive oil for these veggies. Beautiful, nice and hot. Get that olive oil in there. I'm going to put my garlic in. Get that brown in. Just a little bit brown. Oh yeah, that smells good. All right, cool. We are rapidly just like making things happen here. This is a little bit of a chaotic cook for sure. There's a lot of things happening all at once, but you can slow it down. You don't have to go this fast, you know? You can chop all your veggies way beforehand, have them done, and then just like jump in here. So my garlic is brown there. I'm gonna go ahead and put in my onions. I do like to put in my peppers a little bit after my onions. I feel like they get a lot softer, a lot faster. Oh, excuse me. All right. Hello, everybody. I totally agree. Love growing. Pretty charred. Yeah, hard charred is intense. Yeah, salt, exactly. Oh, see, I did things the opposite of the recipe. Why did I put the garlic in? Anyways, sometimes I write the recipe, I have this whole idea, and then I just go and cook the way I always cook. I purposely added the garlic in second to be a way to tell time. And I just, you know, we do things differently sometimes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my peppers in now. If you follow the recipe, you're gonna end up with something just as tasty. I just I get in this mode where I'm just like, I default to my habits instead of my my recipe. You not great at following recipes, that's for sure. That looks really good. Classic Italian colors in there. I just got to check. I'm just checking my recipe because I had a vibe. Yeah, cool. Back to Zoom. My rice is steaming, which is good. That means we're probably pretty close on that being done. All right, let's get you guys a good view here. Sweet. So we got our peppers and onions here. We're just cooking those till they get soft. That smells so good. And then while those go, I'm actually going to turn them off. Just give them a little bit of time. I'm going to go ahead and blend this marinara because I think it is done. Show you guys what that looks like. Nice little pad here. So yeah, you got this marinara. It looks good. Everything's much more cooked down than it was before. The tomatoes are just completely paste. All the veggies in there are just very much soft. So they're ready to get blended. It's going to be really tasty. I'm very excited. Okay, where are we at here? What's going on? There we go, computer. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and put our basil in there. Give it a quick stir so that starts to wilt down, and then we're going to blend it all together. So again, in the recipe, I had called for oregano. I think I was thinking dry oregano. I managed to find some fresh today. So I kind of went with that, and hence why there's a little bit more in there, and also why I cooked it for a little bit longer. Normally, this is where you'd be adding your oregano in. All right, cool. We're gonna get this little stick blender. If you guys don't have one of these, it is one of the best investments I have ever made. This thing is maybe 15 years old, maybe even more, 20 years old. And it's really great. It's got a low and high setting, got a nice little blade, it spins, and it blends up everything. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this chunk into an absolutely beautiful, smooth sauce that we're gonna use as the base for our jambalaya. Here we go. What's happening? Beautiful. So there's our good, beautiful, tasty little marinara. I'll show you a better view of that in just a second here. It's a little bit orange, and that's mainly because there's carrot in there, and we didn't use any tomato paste. So like tomato paste, definitely something you can put in there if you want to. I never do. I kind of like the orange color. But tomato paste is basically just like concentrate tomato, right? So it adds a lot of that nice, beautiful color. You can also put some paprika in there if you want it to be redder, but again, I really like it orange, so I'm never too worried about it when it comes up. But yeah, just give you a quick little sort of peek at what we've got now. It's a nice, beautiful sauce, chunky, chunky, chunky. Tastes absolutely amazing, guaranteed. Oh yeah, confirmed. Nice and sweet. That's really good. Oh my God, the tomatoes are so sweet. It's actually almost too sweet. God, that's really good. Cool. Hey, so it goes. We might be moving away from down here into a bit of a, you know what, it's gonna be fine. Because we're gonna get, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of the banana pepper juice in there, and that is going to absolutely kick it up. Put a little bit of pop in there. It's gonna give it a little bit more acidity because it is so sweet. And those tomatoes are, you know, tomato sauce is generally kind of acidic. So I'm gonna put a little bit of the banana pepper in there. That's gonna up the acidity level, help to really counteract some of that sweetness. Oh yeah, perfect. Oh man, that's so good. Okay, cool. So we're just gonna get the rest of our sort of prep done here as we get these veggies. Stuff. I had to turn that heat off on those while I was blending it so they didn't burn. I'm going again now. Go ahead and open up my olives. I got the small olives in hopes that they would be small enough that I could just put them in whole. And then the stirring process would sort of break them up a little bit. See what we ended up with. And you can use clamatos in here if you like. I just feel like black olives are kind of more, oh yeah, that's perfect. Nice little tiny guys. We're just gonna dump that whole can in there. I know I said a quarter cup, but maybe not the whole can. Maybe half a can. I think maybe the whole can might be too much. Go ahead and take about half of this jar of banana peppers. We're gonna chop these just a little bit. Make sure they taste good. So good. I love banana peppers. I'm just gonna run a knife over them like once, just so they get a little bit chopped up. Perfect. Great. Turn that heat off again. Let them hang. All right, and we're gonna start having our tomatoes here as well. So I'd say we probably want maybe half of this pint worth of tomatoes. I'm just going lengthwise on them. So you want to cut them this way. It gives you more surface area, which I think looks prettier, but also helps them to stay together better. They're going to cook a little faster too, which means we can put them in towards the end of the cooking process. It means they have to get stirred less. They won't break up as much. Should be very nice. So good. Tomatoes may be one of my favorite summer offerings. Really only probably beat by hot peppers. I absolutely love hot peppers. It is an obsession. I literally have a tattoo of hot peppers. So, habaneros, baby. It's been pretty fast paced. I don't think I've missed anything on the question front, which is good. But I hope you guys are feeling a-okay with my tasting on this. Sometimes I'm a little slower, sometimes a little faster. It's kind of what it is. I feel very confident as long as my rice is cooked that we are going to slide right into time on this program. So that's nice. Over here I love a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And not have that in my mise en place. That's a little of my personal stash. One thing I did think about when I was cooking this is I didn't put any cheese in there. And, you know, pizza obviously pretty classically has cheese. But, you know, that was a conscious choice. I think a little Parmesan on top is honestly all you're going to need. Ooh. Ooh. But if you do put cheese in there, put it in like right at the end. Because what's going to happen is it's going to melt immediately. And it's going to make these really cool like strands. You know, mozzarella or cheddar would do something good like that. So don't put it in anytime else because if you put it in, it's just going to dissolve it. It's going to sort of thicken it a little bit. We don't want it to be too thick. So, all right, beautiful. Our peppers are looking great. I'm going to go ahead and put in our marinara. I'm just going to put that whole rest in. And we're going to reevaluate our liquid once we have all our solids in there. We might need more. We might feel like we have too much. We can maybe siphon some off. I got a little bit of water here for my tomato, for my marinara sauce. So we're going to see what it looks like once we put everything back in there. I'm going to put the chicken and all that beautiful oil, fat from that sausage back in here as well. Really start to bring everything together. Oh my God. Just want to. Oh, that tastes good. Oh, that's going to be so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, we're going olives. I think that's probably enough. We'll give it a little stir and see. Yeah, you know, it's not going to hurt. There's probably too much olives. It's going to maybe taste olivey, but I'm kind of obsessed with olives, and I got the whole pan anyway, so may as well use it. Banana peppers in there as well. Oh, this looks so good. I'm just gonna turn the heat on and let this cook together for a little bit, help those flavors meld. I'm gonna put our tomatoes in there. I'm gonna cut a little bit more of those as well. So this juice amount looks just about right. It's essentially, you've got a bunch of solids. You got essentially a stir fry, and then it's a dressed stir fry, right? So that you want that dressing to be able to dress your rice when the rice is done. Oh, I got 9 minutes on my rice. 5:50. You want to be able to dress that rice with the juice, and so we want it to be fairly juicy, but not too juicy that we end up with juice once the rice is in there. And so I think this is going to be a-okay, kind of perfect, honestly. I'm just going to show you a quick little sort of look at what this looks like here. You can see it's just like nice and chunky and juicy. You've got all the different pieces in there. And you can eat this just as it is, like over rice. Isn't there nothing wrong with that, you know? But we're going to put the rice in there, make it sort of look like a classic jambalaya. I think that's going to be a lot of fun and tasty. Just going to try it at this point too. Now that everything's in there, all those flavors are sort of starting to come together. Take a little taste of that sauce. Oh, it's so good. I'm going to put some black pepper in there. But it doesn't even need that much black pepper because it's already kind of spicy. I think I'm going to go for a little bit more of these pepperoncinis or banana peppers, similar pepper, not the same pepper, but close enough. know what flavor. Again, just run your knife over this a little bit so that you get more bite-sized pieces. That's going to help add a little bit more delicious in there. Awesome. I'm going to turn that off and put it on this back burner here so it can just sort of simmer together for a little bit. Actually, I'm going to put the rest of that water in from, I just sort of threw some water in my pot that I made the marinara in, sort of scrape down the sides and get all those little tasty bits. And I'm just going to put that in here just a little bit, just so I make sure I have enough broth for my rice. A good sort of method to tell is if you sort of flatten out all the solids in the pan, give it a little shake, you kind of got your liquids like come up the side of the pan, but they don't quite cover the solids. You probably have the right amount of liquids for what we're talking about here. And I got a little bit extra water, but I don't think you're going to need it. I think once that cooks together, it's going to be absolutely perfect. Don't need these tomatoes. Awesome. We are like in the zone of being done here. I got 6 more minutes on my rice. That's what I like to see. So we're going to just go ahead and get our chiffonade done here. I'm just going to dry off my cutting board because a wet cutting board will make your chiffonade just a pain to get off. And we're just going to go through this bunch of basil here. We're going to pick all of our biggest leaves. We want about a 1/4 cup here, so we want a nice big stack, probably 2 stacks, honestly. I'm going to go ahead and take this rubber band off. That'll make it a lot easier to find my big leaves. We're going to pick off all the big leaves, and then the small leaves, you know, you can use them for something else. Put them in like a tomato salad or something like that. They're going to be, the small leaves honestly have probably some of the more intense flavor, but the big leaves just look really nice for what we want to do here, which is, you know, we want people to be able to see that there's basil in this so that they know, wait a minute, that's not jambalaya, that's pizza jambalaya. Amazing. I am so excited to eat this meal, especially with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I think Parmesan cheese on top is going to be the absolute win for sure. Seems about right. Just all the big outer leaves are really going to be good. We're going to stack these up, do a nice chiffonade, and that's going to just add a really nice sort of flair, not only to the dish itself, but also to you know, we're going to use it as a garnish right on top. So people really, anybody who's eating this is going to know, there will be no question what it is. And, they will be very excited that it is, you put it in front of them for them to eat. Perfect. I think we're about probably more than we need, honestly. But again, fresh herbs are just like, they're just so freaking good. I don't know why they're so good. They don't have any right being so good, but they are so good. So we're going to stack these up. Try and put the bigger leaves towards the bottom, or at least one of your big leaves as a bottom piece. It just sort of helps to keep the whole thing together when we go to roll it up. Beautiful bigger leaves on the bottom. Let's put this aside. We'll get a couple. And so you take this little stack here, you're going to roll it up, you're going to put it on, you're going to roll it up almost like a little burrito. It's going to get a nice little tube. You're going to start at one end, you're going to do nice thin slices right off the tips of your fingers. You don't cut the fingers off, but use your nails, you know, the back of your finger to get as thin a slice as you can. You want to do a sort of sawing motion or push away from you or towards you. It's going to help to cut the herb instead of mash the herb. If you smush herbs, especially basil, it doesn't end very well. This guy is cooking together, looking absolutely beautiful over there. That's about a 1/4 cup, honestly, right there. I probably shouldn't cut any more because I think we already put a lot of extra herbs in there anyways. We'll just cut a little bit more for a garnish. And we'll save the rest of this basil for another day. So again, nice little roll up there, little fruit roll up. You just want to cut it nice and thin as you can get it. Sharper knife is going to be super helpful here for sure. And by no means is this, you know, something you have to really stress about. Just have fun. It's going to be good. So when you're done, you get this nice like little strands of basil. They look really, really beautiful. absolutely delicious. And it's just a nice little addition on top of anything, basically. Really love a good basil chiffonade. Back, put this away with our rice. I think is going to be done. 3 minutes to rice, and then we will put it all together and have a dinner, my friends. Beautiful. Two minutes. Get my plate out so I know what's up. My favorite bowl. Fill that stinker up with jambalaya. It's gonna be so good. We had a friend staying with us, and they unloaded the dishwasher, which is awesome. They put things in different places, which is always a little confusing. That's okay. We found them. There's my bowl. I love this thing. I'm so happy that it still exists. This is done. We're going to go ahead and turn that off. Beautiful. It looks really good. Thickened up a little bit just from boiling away there. Some of the water obviously evaporated off. You could put something to thicken this too, but the rice is going to really do a great job. We're going to put enough rice in there so that all the liquid is absorbed. And you could also put you put some gumbo filet in there, or you know, some people like to cook it with okra. That's totally possible. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a little bit of our garnish basil right here, and we're gonna put the rest of this basil in there right now because we are about to put the rice in. Just toss that together. Nice little fold. Beautiful. That just looks absolutely delicious. Again, you could just eat this as is. You do not need to necessarily add rice in. You could just put the rice on top. There's my rice cooker. Awesome. Turn that fan off. So usually you want to keep your rice warm for about 5 minutes. It helps it steam. In this case, we're putting it into a hot liquid, so we're not worried about that at all. We're going to take it right out right now. It's done. But usually I like to let it sit in my rice cooker for about 5 minutes after the timer goes off, just for the steam to fully sort of get in there. And this smells like chicken right now, which is just the best thing in the entire world, because I did remember to put that chicken broth in there. And that's what we want, because this is going to add flavor. We want the rice to add flavor to this dish. We don't want it to just take away. And that's something that's really nice. Usually when you add this in, you add some chicken broth in, and the rice cooks and everything is delicious. In this situation, we really want that rice to still be able to add to the dish. And so we're just going to go ahead and take some spoons in here. I don't think I'm going to need all the rice, but I might. And so we're going to start with 3 big spoons here, which is I think what we're going to need. And we're going to stir it up after that. We're going to see what it looks like. So I'm just putting it in here, and then I'm just using the tip of my spoon to sort of break it up a little bit. And I'm just going to stir from the bottom over. I can tell I'm going to need more rice. Cool. I just use the whole thing too. It's entirely possible. I do like rice in general, so I'm just breaking up the rice. You want to make sure you break up the rice because you don't want any chunks. The chunks will sort of stop the uptake of the sauce into the rice. We really want that rice to, while it's in this hot state, still cooking, just immediately suck up all that tomato juice and flavor. And you know what? We're gonna do it. We're going all the rice. Ooh, that's hot. Of course it's hot. Where am I over here? Have I ever worked in a kitchen? Don't touch hot things. I'm just gonna go for all the rice. I think it's gonna be easier, eh? And then also we're gonna have a little bit of leftovers, you know, which is great. Okay, so break it up. It's 6 o'clock, guys. I failed. Oh no. Hey, we're close. Better than last time. We're just gonna fold that in. Absolutely fabulous. Oh my God, this looks so good. Again, usually this dish is a lot redder than this, and that's mainly because of paprika, but we skipped that in this because it's just not a flavor that we would be using on pizza necessarily. If you were making a more classic jambalaya, you'd have a decent amount of paprika in there. You'd have a much more intense paprika-y sausage with the chorizo. Yeah, this looks absolutely fabulous though. All that juice is absorbed. I've just got this nice orangey rice color. We're gonna go ahead and get a little plate in here. Just get a nice big, oh, I definitely messed that up a well. Nice big chunk there right in the center. And this is a pretty no-nonsense plating. You just basically pile it on your plate. You know, wipe the edge if you made a mess like you did, like I did. Go ahead. Oh my God, that tastes so good. A little bit of Parmesan on top, just like I would my pizza. Maybe a little bit of hot red pepper flakes if you like that. Bit of basil. And there you go, my friends. Pizza jambalaya. Not too shabby. And I guarantee you this tastes absolutely amazing. Let's get in there right now. Cheers. Oh, that's so good. Got a lot of basil going on. A lot of really, really nice tomato flavors. I got a piece of chunk of chicken. I'm sure the pepperoni is gonna be really good as well. But that was amazing. Yeah, one pot meal, exactly. And like realistically, you could just make this in one pot. You don't need the rice cooker, but I like to do it with the rice cooker. I think it makes this whole step so much easier. What usually will be happening at this point is I would be sitting there waiting for the rice to cook, and you keep trying and trying, and it's still al dente, and then all of a sudden it's mush. And it's just like, this takes a lot of that stress away. It's just ready to go. Cool, guys. Well, that was hella fun. It is 6:04, so I have failed my task by 4 minutes. But hey, what are you gonna do, you know? I think that was still pretty good. I love this as like a nice quick meal. I'm very, very excited to dig into this. In fact, I'm just gonna take another bite right now with that nice olive. So good. Oh, it's really good with the olive too. Those pickle flavors really just like bringing together the fact that I'm eating, you know, like an everything or a veggie pizza, you know, with just a little bit of olives on top. So anyways, it's been a pleasure, everybody, as always. Hi, Emily. Make sure we're going to go ahead and put this up on our YouTube page with all of our other Chef Look cooks. So that's Eggertown Library YouTube. Just Google that. I don't know the actual web address of it, but you Google Eggertown Library YouTube, it'll pop right up. Chef Looks Cooks. And we'll put that up pretty soon here, and ready to go. Tell your friends. Next month's going to be a lot of fun. We're going back to a little bit classic New England dish, something you I really liked when we did the sort of fish and pea risotto. I like doing things that you're gonna find in a fancy restaurant, but like that actually aren't that hard to cook at home. And so we're gonna do something kind of in that vein, classic New England dish. Won't tell you what it is, of course, but sign up for the newsletter, and it'll drop on September 1st.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris. Enjoy your dinner.
Yes, it's so good. I can't wait to dive. I'm just it's going to town. Buddy, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Ellen. Thanks. Have a good night.